representing and championing women's rights and welfare have expressed concern about gender-based violence and the increasing cases of killings of female victims by male criminals motivated by primitive expressions of gender-based brutality and impunity. Left unaddressed, these incidents will cause the women of our nation to feel increasingly unsafe, even in their own homes. This is both tragic and unacceptable. It also complicates, in disturbing ways, the struggle by Kenyan women for inclusion, for equality, for dignity, social justice, their rights, their protection, a section of our society that has been marginalized for a long time. I am aware that most of these cases of murder of women by men have been investigated and prosecuted. It is my hope that in due course, those found culpable will face the full force of the law. Members, it is time for each of us, political leaders, public officers, religious leaders, traditional institutions and family members, to do our part in raising boys into morally upright men who will never need to affirm their masculinity at the expense of women. But instead contribute to making our society just, safe, equal, and inclusive. I appreciate women leaders who have taken time to engage me and propose solutions to address this issue. I have held discussions with other leaders in government, and I have tasked the Deputy President to reach out and facilitate collaborative, broad-based, and multi-sectoral deliberations and recommend effective and radically transformative and affirmative action within the next 6 months. This Parliament will recall that early in my tenure, I engaged the leadership of both houses with recommendations on a working formula to actualize meaningful inclusion of women in national leadership. We must seriously question the drivers and the motives of resistance and reluctance to take the next step in actualizing the 2/3 gender rule. We must call out those who continue to sabotage this right of women to contribute to the governance of our nation. Women are not second-class citizens. They deserve equal representation at all levels. Honorable members, without a doubt, honorable members, without a doubt, every shilling of our national revenue matters and must be used to deliver maximum value to Kenyans. Wastage, corruption, and the abuse of office are grave risks to national transformation and a direct threat to the well-being of the people. I have given my full commitment to serve as a responsible steward of public resources. To begin with, I have championed the automation and digitization of government services and revenue collection to promote transparency, seal loopholes that lead to revenue losses, enhance accountability, and eliminate opportunities for corruption, therefore improving efficiency, transparency, and integrity. I am delighted to report to this House on the dramatic improvements we have recorded by automating and digitizing our revenue collection and service delivery through eCitizen. We have so far digitized 20,855 government services, up from 350 in 2022, representing an increase of almost 6,000%, while we have significantly improved revenue collection. Take the case of Kenya Wildlife Service. whose total revenue for the year ending June 30th, 2023 was 5.3 billion. But after implementing a digital revenue collection system, the revenue grew to 7.6 billion in the year ending June 30th this year, representing a 43% increase. This initiative alone has firmly put KWS on the path to self-sufficiency, freeing the corporation from reliance on exchequer support. I commend the teams at KWS, as well as all other government institutions that have leveraged technology and the digitization process to improve revenue collection. Under the Digital Health Act that you members passed in this House, we are determined to enhance efficiency and transparency provided by technology in the provision of healthcare services to eliminate fraud and fake claims. Tax revenue mobilization by the Kenya Revenue Authority, starting with its customs revenue system, is equally being worked on to ensure that revenue leaks are eliminated. Because corruption is a serious risk to social justice, sustainable development, and national security, and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, I am harnessing our working relationship with other arms of government to encourage the judiciary and parliament to enhance integrity and efficiency by adopting digitization and automation. As I do so, I must caution that all these measures will only achieve intended results if, and only if, the institutions charged with combating corruption and promoting efficiency and integrity stop hiding behind the transparent screen of independence and rise up to meet the people's expectation on matters integrity. Let me say this. It cannot be the case that the Director of Public Prosecutions keeps dropping cases because somehow they are unable to produce witnesses. It cannot also be the case that corruption suspects rush to court to obtain anticipatory bail that shields them from due process and enables them to compromise investigations. There is also no reason for corruption cases to drag in our courts for years, when the same courts are able to determine election petitions and related disputes within 6 months. Members, it is also unacceptable for the Houses of Parliament to deny the nation a much-needed instrument in the war against corruption by continuing to sabotage the passage of the Conflict of Interest Bill. I implore you, honorable members, to stop dragging your feet on this bill, unless, my friends, there is a conflict of interest in the passing of the conflict of interest legislation. Similarly, the National Treasury has been dragging its feet in the implementation of an e-procurement system for the last 10 years. Today, I have directed the National Treasury to roll out the e-procurement system by the end of the first quarter of 2025 and ensure that going forward, only procurement undertaken through this system is sanctioned and paid for. Of the many difficult assignments I have undertaken, this fight against corruption is one I now take on with resolve going forward. Let this serve as notice to all. Independent institutions charged with this responsibility must up their game, pull up their socks, and match up to the expectations of the people of Kenya. Honorable members, I have stated in the past and now reiterate today that in the face of undisputed evidence or credible information on corruption, I will not hesitate to take decisive action. Accordingly, I now direct, in furtherance of the principles enshrined in Article 10 of the Constitution on transparency and accountability, and based on new information provided by investigative agencies and partner nations, that the procuring agencies within the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum immediately cancel the ongoing procurement process for the JKIA expansion public-private partnership transaction, as well as Let me repeat this for clarity. I have said that because of the information that has been provided to us by partner nations, I have directed agencies within the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum to immediately cancel the ongoing procurement process for JKI expansion public-private partnership transaction, as well as the recently concluded Ketrago transmission in public partnership procurement project. And immediately commence the process of onboarding alternative partners, because these are important projects. Honorable members, the work of taking our nation forward is our collective responsibility as citizens. For this reason, we value the contribution of all, whether they come in the form of support or encouragement, suggestion or proposal, criticism or protest. I believe that the most powerful component of leadership is listening and learning. Therefore, I engage with you and listen to all citizens, their elected leaders, public officers, administrators, teachers, and other professionals, learners and the youth, farmers, fisherfolk, pastoralists, traders, craftsmen, artisans, nurses, doctors, community health promoters, and workers across all types of sectors in every sector. I listen too to religious leaders, the civil society, industrialists, entrepreneurs, and professionals. Their contributions and everyone else's have my full attention and commitment to respond through positive, affirmative action that takes the national transformation endeavor forward. I commit to continue listening and acting, to engage, debate, deliberate with you, and to take your input into consideration in serving our nation. By design, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is defined by its capacity to elicit feedback in the course of implementation and incorporate the same in making improvements and further progress. With every input from stakeholders, our ability to drive progress increases. By listening to you and to every Kenyan, I am able to serve this nation better. As we take part in this necessary discourse, I want to make one thing very clear. I am fully invested in the success of the strategies, policies, programs, and projects under our plan. For this reason, I am committed to do all it takes and work with every willing Kenyan until we succeed, because failure is not an option. Given the challenges our nation has faced, it has become clear, honourable members, that overcoming these obstacles requires the collective energy, the collective wisdom, ideas, and goodwill of Kenyans of all political, cultural persuasions, religious beliefs, and walks of life. The wisdom of entrenching national unity and inclusivity as a national value in our Constitution is clearly evident. Our diversity is our source of power. And this moment in the history of our nation calls for radical collaboration to transcend our challenges. We do not have the luxury of magnifying our differences. It is time for all of us to pull together and usher the nation into the future of our dreams. With this in mind, I initiated extensive consultations with leaders from across all divides, public and private. Through these engagements, we resolved to reimagine unity and inclusivity and harness the full potential of our nation through bipartisanship, which culminated in the formation of the broad-based cabinet. The imperative to accommodate the contribution of leaders across the aisle inspired us to constitute the broad-based government, a partnership based on shared purpose and premised on a commitment to bring our national values into action to turbocharge the implementation of the transformation of our nation. Being a farmer myself, transformation is like farming. A lot of resources are invested in plowing the land and planting the seeds, after which there is nothing to see for all the work except stretches of bare earth. Impatience might lead to anxiety and lamentation of the waste of effort in seed buried in the earth. However, after a brief wait, seedlings sprout, requiring close attention, weeding, and patient tending into the crop that will be ready for harvest. So is economic transformation. It requires hard work, investment of resources, patience, and faith. We have planted the seed, and all over the field, it is beginning to sprout. While admittedly there remains much to fulfill, our collective hope to deliver the national economic transformation that this nation so dearly deserves is on course. I am proud to declare that we have also made undeniable progress in building on the strong foundation laid in previous years and getting the national development project off the ground. Honourable members, from the reports that I have the honour to table for your consideration and debate, there is reason to be optimistic that our forward march is unstoppable and that our capacity and commitment to live and work by our national values and principles of governance are stronger than ever before. Our nation is a proud member of the international community, making our contributions to the global progress boldly and with great determination. We stand collectively facing the dawn with